Good afternoon, Year 5. Before we begin our geography lesson today, I just want us to recap over some learning from last term through a little quiz. So what I will do is I will read all the 7 questions out, then you can pause the video and answer them, and then press play again and we will go through the answers. So question 1, name the 7 continents. Question 2, which continent do we live in? What countries make up the UK? What are the 2 hemispheres called? Name some of the invisible lines on our planet which help us to locate different places. What is a biome? Can you remember any of the names? And can you remember any of the fantastic places we located last term? So pause the video here and write down your answers just on a piece of paper for those following questions. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've been able to answer some of those questions. Question number 1 was name the 7 continents. So we've got Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, South America, Australia and Antarctica. Question number 2. Which continent do we live in? We live in Europe. Question number 3. Which countries make up the UK? So we've got England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Question number 4. What are the 2 hemispheres called? So on our planet we have the Northern Hemisphere, which is above one of the invisible lines. I'm not going to tell you which one that is. And the Southern Hemisphere, which is below. Question number 5. Name some of the invisible lines on our planet which help us to locate different places. So we've got the invisible line running around the centre of our planet, which is called the equator. Remember, countries which are closer to the equator are a lot warmer. Then we have the lines of latitude going across and the lines of longitude going down. Okay. We've also got the central line going down our Earth rather than around it. That is the prime meridian. Okay, what is a biome? So we looked at a few of these different biomes last term. So remember, a biome is a collection of plants and animals that have common characteristics for the environment they exist in. Okay, so the different types we looked at grasslands, forests, deserts, tundras, the tropical rainforest, the taiga, temperate climates. Those were some of the main ones. And can you remember any of the fantastic places that we located last term? So we looked at both physical and human places around the globe. We looked at the Colosseum in Rome, we looked at the Statue of Liberty, we looked at different volcanoes around the world, Mount Etna, and different mountains, Everest, and so on. Okay then, moving on, our new unit in geography this term is what shapes our world. Now, key question for today is, why is around the planet so many different shapes? If you're in school, you need to write down your learning objective based on your colour group, and if you're at home, have a close look at your colour learning objective and let's read them all. So red group, to correctly match the landform to the human or physical process. Green group, to identify characteristics and features of landforms by adding annotations. Remember, annotations are just notes around a picture. And purple group, to generate geographical questions based on the landforms and the processes which shape them. Some key vocabulary for this unit, some of which we've already come across in previous geography lessons and learning. So we've got this idea of a process, whether that be a human process, something made by man or because of man, and a physical process, something happening naturally. We've got the climate, which is the weather over a period of time. So when we can start to build up trends about what climate is like in different areas of the world. Then we've got weather, which is about the weather on that day. Ice, glacier, water, the water cycle. This is definitely a new word here, this one. Tectonic plates. Biomes, we've come across that one. Climate zones, so the different zones around the world linked to the climate in that particular region. The Earth's crust, vegetation and soil. So hopefully some of those words you know quite well, and there's definitely some, if we just highlight, we need to have either a recap of or a real good look at throughout this unit. Okay, so over the next few slides you need to get your geographical thinking in gear. All right, I want you to look at the different landform, and I want you to think about looking for different clues that might help us figure out what caused it. So here we've got a landform here. Was this caused by the wind and rain? Caused by a volcano, an earthquake, river flowing, waves, ice pressing down on the rock, or caused by people's actions? So are there any clues in here? Do we see any evidence of any human interaction here? Can we see this area being close to any water or any other clues? We've got a little bit of vegetation here. I can see rocks. We've got some trees in the background there as well. What do you think caused this landform? Next one. So here we can see we are at the edge here. We can see an ocean, the sea in the background there. So that's giving me some clues that I might think this might have something to do with waves or a volcano or an earthquake. We've got rocks here, puddles, this big, massive rocks here. What do you think could have caused it? Okay, so we've got, if you look down the centre of this picture here, I wonder what used to be there. Looks very dry at the moment. I can see some hills or mountains there in the background. Don't see any water, can't see any oceans surrounding it. I wonder what could have caused the shape of this land to form in this way. Okay, get that geography thinking hat on. What could we see? We've got big rock masses here. You can see cliffs. We've got right next to the ocean. So immediately I'm drawing to the ideas of wind and rain and waves. How many can I see? They're going all the way along this coastline here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wonder if there's any more further down that way. Okay, what can you see in this picture? Write some ideas down. Which one could have caused this landform here? Swirling here. Okay, so look closely again at the picture. Look in the foreground, at the front of the picture, the background as well. What can you see in the distance? You can see vegetation, you can see rocks, you can see a river. What do you think could have caused this land? A close look at this picture as well. and try and think about what caused this land formation here. Okay, what can I see? I can see what looks like a road, which instantly doesn't look natural, instantly makes me think that humans have been there. We've got a forest, trees, vegetation, but then here at the front of the picture, it is all being chopped down. It doesn't look like that has happened naturally, because here I can see them all stacked up and cut to the same length. What do you think has happened to this landform? Again, look for clues in the picture. What can you see straight away? What is all of this in the background behind that piece of machinery? This piece of green machinery here, that gentleman inside. Have a look. What can you see? Well, I can see some vegetation at the front here. I can see machinery. I can see work going on. Some kind of digging into the ground. I wonder what that is for. It's big, huge expanse of space. Don't know if I can see houses or in the background there. Whether that's just the shape of the land. What do you think could have caused this land? Okay, so this is a task for everybody, and Red Group, this is your task for the whole session. Okay, so it says, why is the land around the planet so many different shapes? Task 1, match the picture to the correct description. An example has been included. So this wouldn't be a matching task if I had the picture and then the description of that match there together. That wouldn't be a matching task, you would just be reading it. Okay, so the pictures are all in the first column here. Then I've got the descriptions all numbered. There's 10 in total. And here is the example. So it says this picture, meaning the first picture there, matches with description 3. Okay, so this one here, which is the stone forests in China. These stone forests were formed from limestone 270 million years ago. The rocks have been shaped by the wind and the water to create unusual shapes and spikes. Okay, so the way that I was able to match those pictures up were by looking closely at the clues, so I could see stone and trees, and it actually looks very densely compact like a forest. So that was why I linked those together. Okay, so then you would go on to number 2, look at this picture here, and then look at all the other descriptions, which one matches that picture there. If you're struggling to think, oh, I can't see any clues in that picture, move on to the next picture. Some of the pictures are easier to match than others. And then as you work through, you should be able to get to a process of elimination. Look carefully at the descriptions. What clues have you got there to help you? It might be the location. For example, places like California and Australia, they're going to be a lot warmer. Does that look like a warm climate in the picture? Are there clues about the shapes that you can see of the landform? Are there clues about the vegetation or rocks and soil that are there? Okay, so look for those clues and then match them up. So I'd like you to pause the video now, and I would like you to go and do task 1 and either upload that onto Teams, or if you are in school, you will be cutting and sticking. Actually, I think you could just write in this third box here if your class teacher prints that out for you. Okay, so pause the video, go and do task 1, and then come back once you have done it. Okay, over the next few slides, we're going to go through the answers for the matching task and see how the landform was shaped. So the first one here, like I discussed in task 1, this is the stone forest in China. These stone landforms were formed from limestone 270 million years ago. The rocks have been shaped by wind and water to create the unusual shapes and spikes. over millions of years it is taken to create all of these shapes and spikes. Second one, this is the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. There are over 40,000 columns in the Giant's Causeway made of basalt. They were formed by volcanic activity. Next one, this is the San Andreas Fault. This landscape has been formed by the movement of the tectonic plates in earthquakes. New land has merged and ridges along the edge of the gap in the Earth's crust is 1,300 kilometers long. So that's a new word for us. We're going to come on to look at that further on in the unit. Tectonic plates. The 12 Apostles. These huge limestone stacks have been shaped by the action of the sea. Utah, United States. The amazing shape in the land has been caused by a river wearing away the rock over millions of years. A Norway fjord, ice action. This is a special lake. Ice once pressed down on this land. As it melted, leaving a wide valley, the sea filled the valley in forming the fjord. This landform here is an ice melt in Iceland. As our climate warms up, ice is melting and changing the shape of the landscape. Deforestation in Tasmania. Ancient forests have been destroyed to make space for new farms. The landscape has been changed by human activity. A plastic mountain in Hubei in China. Humans produce lots of waste. Here we see plastic pollution changing a landscape. Okay, so now we're moving on to looking at the different tasks. As I said, red group, your main task was to do that matching for me. Green group, your task is to identify characteristics and features of landforms by adding annotations. So I've picked two images here, a physical process, the first one, and a human process. So underneath, or if you're in school, just around the picture, you can add in some annotations. So thinking about what you can see in the picture. What is the climate like? What are the different rock formations here in this first picture? How did they form? How long ago did it form? Could you maybe research what basalt is? Okay, and do a little bit of research on that and add on that information. And the same for the second picture here, the human process. You could do some research on that particular area and explain to me what the causes of deforestation and how it is changing the land. Okay, purple group, your task is to generate geographical questions based on the landforms and processes which shape them. So you're asking those why and how questions, okay, or what, all right? So thinking about how you could form those questions, and you can just type them underneath or around the picture if you are in school. Okay, so what questions do they have about that landscape?